Thank you, Peter. I'm going to steal a line from Ken Field this morning and say I'm just employee number 3194 at Esri. Don't believe the hype, so I just help make the big wheel spin. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate you coming to this session, and hopefully you will learn something about Portal for ArcGIS. So what are we going to cover in this session? Quite a bit. We're going to talk about the WebGIS pattern, so you guys will leave here understanding WebGIS. I talked about it abstractly this morning in the plenary, but now that we have more time, I will go over the patterns. I will talk about Portal for ArcGIS, what it is, what do you get, what you can do with it. I will also talk about installation and deployment, some configuration options. I will briefly mention security. We do a comprehensive discussion tomorrow for about an hour. And then I'll talk about the different ways that Portal can work with ArcGIS Server. Okay? Now, if you want to get the PowerPoint deck, please email me. It's not hard to figure out. First letter of my name and then first initial, last name at esri.com, and I will send it to you probably Monday or Tuesday. Okay? Fair warning. This is kind of like an intermediate topic. It is Introduction to Portal. However, I strongly recommend that you have a knowledge of ArcGIS Server before coming to the session, because I make some assumptions that you understand what Server is, because we build on that knowledge. All right? So you've all seen this slide. This is the ArcGIS as a platform slide. I showed it this morning. We have client applications on top. They search and discover GIS resources through a portal. Note the lowercase p. It's a central hub. It could be ArcGIS Online, or it could be Portal for ArcGIS. A portal is powered by GIS servers and has data content. Now, what's the big deal, Derek? Why do I need to have Portal? Well, one of the benefits is this. It allows you to organize your maps and apps. So you have this hub, you can go to a gallery, and you can find an app. Here's what I mean. Those of you who are used to using ArcGIS Server, I am sure, are familiar with this. This is ArcGIS Server Manager. And if I log in with my super secret password, you can see all the resources that I have. Under my Naperville folder, I have these 8 or 10 different web services. That is great. This is my administrator view. What do my end users see? Well, they normally see this. Those of you familiar with servers should recognize this as the services directory. It's not an elegant user interface. I can click on the Naperville link. I see that I have these 8 or 9 different services. I can click on zoning districts and get some metadata about that service. My machine is running a little slow here, and I apologize. And then I can click on a link to view its content. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with this user experience, but it's not really that elegant. And by that, what I mean is, what if I had 1,000 services? Well, I would see 1,000 web links. And I think for the non-GIS expert, he or she would be pretty annoyed to have to click on every single one of those links to view the content and find out what's available. Now, to our defense, the services directory was designed with the developer in mind, not the regular non-GIS expert. So he or she, if they were a developer and they wanted to use census tracts, they would click on a link, and then they would simply copy-paste the URL address into their code. So instead, we have a portal, this really nice user interface, which allows me to expose all my GIS resources that are available as web services. Think of it conceptually like a human-friendly front end to my resources. I can click on this gallery link here, and you can see I have thumbnails for all my assets. I can go to most viewed, and you can see it's a very nice interface. I can hover over a resource, click on the details panel, and it will show up. Okay, so that's one benefit of a portal. This is what I mean by this slide here, where I basically make my GIS assets and resources much more easier to search, discover, and use. Therefore, it'll increase usage. Now, what I'm going to do next is take this diagram and actually break it up a little bit. Love the folks in marketing, but they make my job complicated because they tend to oversimplify things. What I want to do next is take this diagram and break it up into pieces. Remember, at the top we have client applications. They communicate with a portal powered by GIS servers and has data content. So if I recreate that diagram, we know that we have GIS servers. They contain our data and web services. In the middle, we have a portal, again, lowercase p. This could be ArcGIS Online or Portal for ArcGIS. And its value is that it has information products. A portal is only useful if it has large data content. And another advantage of Portal is that it allows us to provide access control. And of course, it's always being accessed by apps. So this is the same diagram you saw earlier, just broken up into its pieces. What I'm going to do next is take that diagram and switch it up. Apps on the left talk to GIS servers with their data through a portal. And we have two different deployment patterns. The first is software as a service. The second is just software. So I could do everything with the WebGIS pattern using ArcGIS Online. I take my data, I upload it into the ArcGIS Online cloud, and everything just works because Esri is the one who manages the infrastructure for you. We have ArcGIS Online as our front end. We can store our data in ArcGIS Online as hosted services, and I can access the resources. That's one option. Another option is this. Well, I can actually get the software from Esri and install it and enable it myself within my own infrastructure. I get ArcGIS Server, I get Portal for ArcGIS, note the capital P, and we also offer a product called the ArcGIS Data Appliance. It's literally a physical machine that you can buy. You hook it up to your intranet, and it has all the base map data preloaded for you. So we have these two patterns, software as a service or on premises. But actually, a lot of customers like to choose a hybrid deployment, such as this. They use the base maps from ArcGIS Online, they have their own ArcGIS server, and they use ArcGIS Online as their front end. This is a very popular deployment, and it's an urban legend that I have to store data in the cloud. I can use this deployment, have all my data on my own machines, my data is secured, I do not store any data in the cloud. Okay, this is one option. If I do have some data that I share with the public, well, I may want to upload it into ArcGIS Online. Many other customers also choose this hybrid deployment where they decide they want to run their own server, they want to run their own Portal for ArcGIS site, and they consume base maps from ArcGIS Online. This is also very popular. Again, everything is secured. The difference is you are responsible for maintaining the portal, the service packs, the updates, etc. They also, if they have some data they want to share with the public, well, they can use ArcGIS Online as their front end. And finally, a lot of US federal government agencies with three-letter acronyms that you see in spy movies, well, they use this deployment, right? They're totally off the wire, totally disconnected, they run everything themselves. The point I want to make is for the remainder of this tech session, I am going to focus on what is circled in red. Portal for ArcGIS with a capital P. What do I do with it? How do I set it up? So you know that Portal for ArcGIS, it's a separate standalone software installation that is included with ArcGIS for Server at 10.3 at Standard or Advanced. It basically provides for you the ArcGIS Online user experience within your own infrastructure. You may choose this option if you have additional security requirements and you do not want to use the ArcGIS Online public cloud. We've designed Portal for ArcGIS so that it works and can integrate with your existing IT enterprise systems. So we support things like Windows Active Directory, LDAP, SAML authentication, PKI, enterprise groups. It's been a COTS product since the 10.2 release, but actually, we have had this available for 5 or 6 years now. It used to be a soft product. And what I mean by that is before 10.2, we actually offered it as a professional services engagement. So Esri would come into your organization, set it up for you. But demand was so popular, we made it a COTS product, a commercial off-the-shelf product at 10.2. So you have to decide, should you use Portal or should you use ArcGIS Online? And the answer is, it depends on your business requirements. You may choose to use Portal if you have to work in a totally disconnected environment. A lot of military agencies, they choose this option. Or if you have a strict service license agreement, so you have to have 99.9999% redundancy or failover. Again, pay attention to the last sub-bullet in the first paragraph. If you set up Portal for ArcGIS, you're responsible for the maintenance. Now, you may choose to use ArcGIS Online because you don't need any technical expertise. You take your data, you bring it to the cloud, Esri will manage the infrastructure for you. It also has this advantage of elasticity. Well, what does that mean? You set up your portal in ArcGIS Online, Esri will dedicate a machine for you, but if you have additional volume of traffic going to your server, well, Esri will add additional machines to support that volume of traffic and activity, and when the busyness is gone, we'll remove the machines for you. So we provide you that capability to scale. If you set up your own portal, well, again, the responsibility is on you. So we have many different success stories using Portal. Customers tend to use Portal because they don't want to advertise using our technology. However, I've been lucky enough to politely beg these 3 customers to talk about their success. The first is Seneca Resources. They are a mid-level natural gas company. The gentleman on your left is Jacob Boyle. I love talking about him because he set up Portal for ArcGIS by himself at 10.2, part-time, in 6 months, only calling tech support twice. True story. And he said to me, you know why I was successful, Derek? Because I actually read the help doc. Because I know you guys always do that, right? Here's another success story. This is a conglomerate in Norway. They're called Lees. They own 16 different companies. They set up Portal for their fiber optic company called Altabase. They use Collector on the front end to help their mobile crews do field data collection and post it back to the portal. They've been so successful, the GIS manager is very happy. He's deploying 2 more portals in 2 other lines of business. Finally, I have this fast food example. Chick-fil-A, they're a fast food chain in the US. And one-person shop, they set up a portal for basically testing demo purposes to support their real estate department to locate new restaurants. They had 3 successful launches that the gentleman, Chan, now has a team. He's now become a manager, got a big, well, I assume a big raise, and has 3 direct reports underneath him because they were so happy with the apps, they want to deploy apps across their entire organization now. Okay? So they're available online. I can send you the links. My point is, people are definitely using Portal. There are many more. Unfortunately, I cannot talk about them. But just as an FYI, 2 user conferences ago, we had a coffee company based out of Seattle. They talked about their success with WebGIS. I'm not naming names, but I'm sure you can guess who they are. They are also a very good customer of ours using this technology. All right, let's take a look at Portal. So I'm going to go to my home landing page. You'll notice, first off, the user experience is very similar to ArcGIS Online. And I can sign, first of all, I don't have to sign in. If I have something in my portal and I share it with everyone, that means only people who can access my intranet, who's a member of my Windows Active Directory, well, they can see all these items. I don't have to be a named user to access all the content if it's shared publicly, which means they have to be a member of my intranet. However, if I want to contribute, so if I want to add new data or edit existing data, yes, then I would sign into my portal and I would log in as a user. You'll notice now I have different types of content in my interface, right? And I could go and browse the content that I own, or I can go to my gallery, and all the data that I have permissions to, I could add. As I mentioned, it's a nice front end to my resources, so I can click on vegetation land cover, view the details for this service, and if I wanted to, I can actually add the layer to my map. And this is one key differentiator. We've designed Portal, whether it be ArcGIS Online or Portal for ArcGIS, to have this Google Map-like interface. Yes, we're allowed to say Google, okay? In other words, we've designed it so that people who are not GIS experts, he or she can quickly find some GIS data or an asset, and they can visualize it. They could add additional layers, so if they go to the Add button, and let's say we add hydrology, and then we can see those services in this simple map viewer. And I apologize, it seems like my server is a little bit slow. They can set custom symbology. You saw earlier Ken Fields show the smart mapping. Or they can set up pop-ups. For example, I can go to land cover, enable pop-ups, click one of these parcels, and I have security set up. So I can query that information. Now when I'm done, I can hit Save As. And I basically can create a web map. So I'll call this Naperville Water and Green Space. And I'll simply copy this as my tags and in my summary, and I've saved it. Have I copied my data? No. All I have done is basically made a configuration file in my portal referencing those two web services. Big deal, Derek. So what? Why do I care? This is a big deal because the key takeaway is I've allowed people who are not GIS experts to quickly and easily browse through my GIS assets and make their own map. I have not copied the data, I've simply made a configuration file in my portal, instead of using ArcMap, which, as we all know, has like 1,000 different tools and takes quite a bit of time to learn. Not only do we allow them to make a web map, we can quickly share that web map, and I have a bunch of options here. Again, think of Portal like a map-centric content management system. I can decide to share this map with maybe the water department and the planning department. I can share it with members of my portal or with everyone. It's totally up to me. I could take that web map and embed it in a website, or I can actually make a web application. And as you saw earlier today with Josh and Simon and Ebony's demos in the plenary, we have these templates. These empty websites where I take my web map and hydrate that website. We have many different templates that meet specific functions like general viewer, data editing, data comparison, showing data change over time, etc. And if these templates don't meet your needs, well, we have Web App Builder, so I can make this app. And I unfortunately don't have time to go through the whole demo, but you saw Josh today make a web app under 2 minutes. We give you all these tools to configure it. Not only will this web app work in a web browser, it's built on the JavaScript API and HTML5 responsive technology. It's cross-platform, so it works on any browser, any device. Pretty powerful. All right, so what can I do with Portal? You can browse, search, and discover your assets. I demonstrated self-service mapping. You can create new content, and we also have sharing and collaboration. Let me quickly show this to you. This is pretty key. I'm going to exit my portal here, my web app builder, sorry. Notice I made that web map, Naperville Water and Green Space web map. Now I'm going to sign out. Now I can sign back into my portal as someone else. Let me sign in as Derek, myself. And this is that sharing and collaboration mechanism. I'll go to my gallery. I'll view the most recent item that I made, the Naperville and Water Green Space map, open it in the map viewer. And now what I could do is actually I can take that as a starting point and actually, let's say, for example, add the elevation contours to the map. So I think I clicked OK. Yep. And those elevation contours will appear, those contour lines. If we give it a sec. And it's spinning. And maybe I'll change the base map. So instead of that, I'll use, I don't know, let's try OpenStreetMap. The point is, I've taken someone else's web map, someone else's configuration file, made some changes. Now I can save this map as my own. Save as. Derek version. And now I have another item in my portal. So we foster this collaboration and sharing environment. And it's key because everyone is working from the same common authoritative data content. This is a big deal. Your planning department is using the same base maps as your water department, so there's no inaccuracies, right? You guys, as the GIS team in your organization, you guys are the ones who maintain that authoritative content. All right, so what do I get with Portal? This is the other great part of my job this year. You get all of these apps included with Portal at Server 10.3, Standard and Advanced or higher. Okay? And again, Dashboard, Collector, Web App Builder, Explorer, all of this is included. If I want to install Portal, 5 steps. It does require a certain level of expertise, so I'm not going to say it's easy. Note the bullet in yellow. I cannot emphasize that enough. I know when you buy a new DVD player, no one reads the book. Read the help doc for Portal, okay? Because if you have security or IT knowledge, it will help. You do go through a wizard, it lays down the software, but there is some management to do. You have to enable SSL on your web server, and you have to configure the web adapter. We're always looking to improve the help documentation. I think the team has done a phenomenal job, but we encourage you to do that before you start installation. Well, how do I deploy it? I install server, I install Portal, and I have my own private network. I could install the two on the same web server using two separate web adapters. I can put it on one machine if I so choose to. But we recommend as a best practice that you separate out the two different web servers and that you separate them out on two different machines. This is not a hard requirement. This is a general guideline best practice. Why? Portal actually has a very small footprint. However, if they're on the same machine and ArcGIS server is crunching and doing a lot of work, that may cause a performance hit in your Portal. Just throwing that out there. Can I configure Portal? Absolutely. You can customize the UI and the interface, and we give you lots of options. So what I can do is I'm going to go back to my Portal. I'll go to the My Organization page, and if I click Edit Settings, I have a bunch of options that I can configure. So for example, I'm going to go to my home page. I will change the banner. I'm going to upload a custom image, and I'll click here to upload it. I'll click Browse. And what I'm going to do is actually add this custom banner right here. Click Open, hit OK, save, go to my home page, and you see my banner is up there. Oh, it's kind of shrunk. Well, we allow you to customize it further. I'll go to My Organization, go to Edit Settings, Home Page, and now what I'll do is I'll just simply change the height of the image. Don't be impressed, I am not a developer. I just happen to have done this many times. So I'm just editing the HTML tag a little bit. And now you can see I've resized my image, okay? All of this is customizable. We want to make you successful and enable you to brand your own Portal. Okay, quick mention on security. We support web tier authentication, including IWA, Integrated Windows Authentication, and PKI. So PKI is when you have those smart cards, you plug it into a device, and you put a PIN number in. We also support single sign-on with SAML, which I will talk about a few slides from now. And we support both built-in and enterprise groups. Now, I'm going to talk about this slide in a lot more detail tomorrow, so I'm going to skip this a little bit, all right, in the interest of time. If you have a named user with your Portal, we have three different default roles. Obviously, administrators can do a lot versus publishers versus users. But I want to highlight that column on the right. Without an account, you can still view and access all those public items. And by public, that means people who belong to your Windows Active Directory, your intranet, or your LDAP. That's key. Now, we also have some custom roles. So if you want to apply more fine-grained controls on your Portal users, well, you can do that, and you can configure that. We also have many different groups in Portal. It's a way for you to organize and categorize your content. We recommend that you model your groups based on your organization's hierarchy or departments or based on projects. All right. We're going to spend the next few minutes and talk about how Portal and server can work with each other. And there are three different patterns. First, I'm going to start off with this conceptual diagram. At the very top, we have Portal, represented by the yellow box. It has its own identity store. I use the term identity store very loosely to represent your user and your role store. Now, I can have my own server site, note server site 1, and it's got a service registered with Portal, and it has its own identity store. What does this mean? Well, I have a web service in my server site, and I can register it with my Portal. In other words, I make an item, in this case, item A in my Portal, that points to that web service. They are loosely coupled. So if I were to delete item A, the web service remains. The beauty of this pattern is that I can mix and match releases. So I may have Portal 10.3 on top and maybe ArcGIS Server 9.3 or higher on the bottom. So if I'm a medium to large organization and I have many different departments with many different server sites, I can still reference all of those web services within my Portal. Excuse me. And again, it's loosely coupled. So if I were to delete item A, the web service would remain. Now this pattern is fine, but what if I secured that web service in server site 1? So if I secured it, if someone were to log into my portal, click on item A, they would be given a challenge dialog because the person would have to provide credentials to access that web service because I've secured it. Now I have one option, which is when I make item A, I could save my credentials with my portal. But that may not meet your security requirements. So we have this option here. I could federate my server site with my portal. In this case, I'm telling server site 2 to use the same identity store, use the same permissions and security settings that I've configured with my portal. It's called federation. If I want to federate a server site with my portal, they must be the same release number. So 10.3.1, 10.3.1. I cannot mix and match releases. Notice as well the line is solid. So if I were to delete item B, the corresponding web service would also get deleted. The beauty of the federated model is that it gives me a single sign-on user experience because server and portal are sharing the same security model. So here's some info on portal server federation. Gives me a single sign-on user experience. I must enable HTTPS on my server site. And they share the same common identity store. Third pattern is this. Note server site 3, it shares the same identity store with portal. It's what we call a hosting server because I also install the ArcGIS data store. I would set up a hosting server if I want to allow my portal members to publish content directly to a portal. So here I have a slide. I may have ArcGIS Pro, and I want the ArcGIS Pro user to publish content directly to the portal. Another use case is I'm using Esri Maps for Office. And the Esri Maps for Office user geocodes some points, and they want to push those points back to the portal. Or if I want to publish 3D scene services. In these three use cases, I require a hosting server. In other words, I have to install Portal, ArcGIS Server, as well as the ArcGIS Data Store to enable the ability for my portal users to take their local data and publish it directly to the portal. As I mentioned, I mentioned this in the server session. The ArcGIS Data Store is included with Server at 10.3. It's a separate software installation. Behind the scenes, it basically installs for you a database that is registered with the ArcGIS Server site. So when you publish content to portal, that data gets copied into the ArcGIS Data Store. All right, I'm getting close to my time here. Where do I go to learn more information about Portal? Well, cannot promote this enough, the help documentation. server.arcgis.com/en/portal. The team has done a phenomenal job to document everything. But if we haven't, let me know. I want to improve that doc. We also have a free 60-minute live training seminar called Extending Access to GIS Maps and Apps Using Portal. I recommend you give that a listen. We also have an ArcUser technical article called Portal for ArcGIS 101. It's kind of like analogous to a first-year college-level course, Psychology 101, Portal for ArcGIS 101. It goes over some of this content in more detail and explains the different patterns in more detail. So what have we learned about Portal? Central hub for your GIS assets. Note the text in yellow. It allows you to enable web GIS within your own infrastructure, either on physical machines or in your own private cloud. And again, you would choose it if you want to have specific security requirements and you don't want to use the public cloud. And it's included with ArcGIS Server Standard and Advanced at 10.3. And with that, thank you guys very much. I appreciate your time and attention. Here are some links, and I guess we'll open it up to questions.
Yeah, please, thank Derek. So we certainly do have time for a few questions. So does anyone have any questions for Derek? Yes.
Yes, sir.
If you put Portal on a separate server to ArcGIS Server, do you require 2 licenses?
Good question. So If I want to install Portal on a separate box from ArcGIS Server, do I require 2 licenses? If you have ArcGIS Server Workgroup, then the answer is yes, because the requirement of ArcGIS Server Workgroup is that all components be installed in the same box. However, if you have ArcGIS Server Advanced, then no. It's 1 license and you can deploy it across multiple machines. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You've touched on the connection between the organization user-based labs to Active Directory or LDAP. How does that work? Is it seamless, like the same users that you got linked from your organization are visible to the portal, or do you have to do something else?
So the question was, I can take my portal for ArcGIS instance and configure it with an enterprise identity store, whether it's Windows Active Directory or LDAP. And your question is it seamless? The answer is no. When I configure my portal with an enterprise identity store, I still have to, as a portal administrator, create those users in my portal. Now you have a bunch of options. You can enable account creation to automatic. What that means is someone from my Active Directory, as soon as they go to my portal homepage, it creates an account for them automatically. Now we enable that configuration. However, having said that, we do not recommend that as a best practice because that may automatically consume all your named user accounts. This is why the default option is you have your portal, you have your Active Directory, and the portal administrator can either batch input these users into Portal to only consume a certain amount of named users, or you enable the ability for someone from your Active Directory to connect to my portal and manually create their accounts. It's totally up to you. Does that help, sir? Yes. Anybody else?
Over this side.
Yes.
Existing config data store, does that disappear with the new ArcGIS data store?
Good question. And first, I must apologize. So the question was, what's the deal with this data store? I wish I could have changed the name. So just so everyone has context, in ArcGIS Server by itself, we have this concept of a data store where you define a valid location that ArcGIS Server can see to read and write data. We have 2 types, folders and managed databases. That's a concept. Now at 10.3, we have this new thing called the ArcGIS data store. And conceptually, it's the same thing. It is a valid location that references my data. However, it does not replace the data store concept of ArcGIS Server. And I apologize because the name is not very clear. Somebody higher than myself had that final say. But think of the ArcGIS data store as basically an installed component that you would use if you want to enable a hosting server. That's what it is. And if you want to talk more, does that help, sir? It does not replace the existing data store concept. Again, I apologize for the name. At Esri, we like to recycle names a lot. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, it doesn't replace it. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Does that replace your SQL Server or Oracle?
So the question is, does the ArcGIS data store replace, when you say SQL Server or Oracle, do you mean your enterprise geodatabase? The answer is no. It does not at all. Enterprise geodatabases or ArcSDE geodatabases, the place where you store your spatial data for versioning is still existing, it's still there, it still powers your web services. This is basically another option for you. So when you enable the ability for people to publish content to Portal, we just take care of all the infrastructure for you in one simple installation. The other option would be you could install an enterprise geodatabase to power your hosted content, but we found with our feedback from customers, it's a pain to make that happen. Anyone else? I mean, if you want to learn more about security, I'm going to talk tomorrow. I know, unfortunately, because of the time limitations, we can talk like all day about Portal. I'll make myself available after if you have any other questions. Hopefully you guys are happy. If you want a copy of the PowerPoint, send me an email. I can give you my card, or you can just, again, it's not too hard to crack the code there. First letter, the first letter of my first name, last name at Esri.com. If we're good, then I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference and the dinner tonight. Thank you, guys.
Yep.